My whole life I felt less like a child and more like a project. A retirement plan my parents started investing in from day one. I did everything they wanted. I got the good grades, landed the high-paying job, and I never ever said no. When they fell into serious debt, guess who bailed them out? Me, I thought. Finally, this will be it. This grand gesture will make them see me, their kid, not just their walking ATM. So I bought them a house, a beautiful place, everything they'd ever wanted. I put the deed in my name, of course for legal reasons, but I told them, this is your home, forever. I really thought we had turned a corner. For a while, things were great. They seemed grateful, and we spent more time together than we had in years. I helped them set up their finances, including a joint emergency account. I funded it, naturally, with the understanding it was for true emergencies only, a medical bill, a car repair, the important stuff. I felt like we were finally a family. Then came the whispers about a big trip. I'd catch snippets of conversations about sandy beaches and blue water. I was excited, thinking maybe this was a family vacation they were planning for all of us, a real celebration of our new chapter. How naive I was. One evening, my mum sat me down. She had this weird, almost guilty look on her face. She told me they were going on a 2-week Caribbean cruise. Just the two of us, she said. A second honeymoon. I tried to hide my disappointment and asked if there was any way I could join, even for a part of it. The answer was a swift and firm no. They claimed all the rooms were booked, a flimsy excuse that stung more than the truth would have. But they said it was a couples-only thing, and I just wouldn't fit in. I felt that old, familiar sting of being on the outside looking in, the one who pays for the party but never gets an invitation. The feeling of being excluded was bad enough, but something else felt off. This cruise wasn't cheap. How were they affording it? Curiosity got the better of me, and I logged into our shared emergency bank account. My stomach dropped. There were withdrawals. A big one for a cruise deposit, smaller ones for things like designer sunglasses and expensive luggage. They were draining the emergency fund I had filled for their luxury vacation. The money I had set aside to protect them was being used to exclude me in style. The betrayal was so sharp, it literally took my breath away. They weren't just leaving me behind. They were using my own money to do it. The final nail in the coffin arrived in my inbox a few days later. An email from my mother. The subject line was FWD, your cruise confirmation. She had accidentally forwarded me their entire itinerary, and there it was in black and white guests, John and Jane Doe. My name was nowhere to be seen. It was the confirmation I didn't need, but got anyway. The cold, hard proof. Staring at that email, something inside me just ... snapped. The hurt turned into a cold, quiet rage. I wasn't their daughter. I was their benefactor, and my usefulness had an expiration date. They had made their choice. Now it was my turn to make mine. My first call was to my lawyer. I needed to be sure, is the house 100% legally, unequivocally mine? I asked. He pulled up the documents. The title was solely in my name. The property taxes were paid by me from my personal account. The mortgage, which I had paid off in a lump sum, was in my name. I owned the house free and clear. There were no written agreements, no rental contracts, nothing that gave them any legal claim to stay there. They were guests who had overstayed their welcome. My lawyer confirmed it. You can sell it tomorrow if you want. And that's exactly what I decided to do. The day they left for their cruise, I watched them go. They were so happy, so excited, waving goodbye from the taxi, without a care in the world. The moment they were out of sight, my plan went into motion. I had already contacted a real estate agent who specialized in quick cash sales. Within 48 hours, we had a cash buyer, an investor who didn't even need to see the inside. The offer was a little under market value, but I didn't care. Speed was my priority. We closed the deal in 5 days. While my parents were sipping cocktails on a sun deck in the middle of the ocean, the house they called home was being sold right out from under them. The next step was the locks. I hired a locksmith and had every single lock on the property changed. The front door, the back door, the garage, everything. Then came the hard part. Their belongings. I hired a professional moving company. I gave them clear instructions. Pack everything that belongs to my parents with care and transport it to a climate-controlled storage unit. I paid for the first 3 months in advance. I wanted to be methodical, not destructive. This wasn't about destroying their things. It was about removing them from my property. As the movers cleared out the last of their furniture, the house felt empty, but for the first time, it also felt truly mine. 2 weeks later, they returned tanned and relaxed. Their taxi pulled up to the curb, and I watched from my car down the street. I saw the confusion on their faces as their key wouldn't turn in the lock. The panic started to set in as they realized none of their keys worked. My phone rang. It was my father, his voice a mix of anger and confusion. "What's going on? We can't get into the house." I took a deep breath and drove up to meet them on the curb. I calmly handed them a key. "This is for a storage unit," I explained. "All of your belongings are there, safe and sound. The first 3 months are paid for." They just stared at me, mouths open. "The house, ... What about the house?" My mother stammered. I looked her right in the eye. "I sold it," I said. "This was never your house. It was my house, and you were living in it. You used my emergency fund for your vacation, a vacation you deliberately excluded me from. You made it very clear that I am not part of your family, just a resource to be used. You started this. I just finished it." The color drained from their faces. They threatened to sue, to call the police, to tell everyone what a horrible child I was. I just told them to talk to their lawyer. I knew they didn't have a legal leg to stand on. Of course, they tried. They got a lawyer who sent me a very angry letter. My lawyer responded with a single package containing copies of the deed, the title, the tax records, and the bank statements from the emergency account. We never heard from their lawyer again. The house was sold, legally and cleanly. The money was in my account. And my parents, they were homeless. They had to move into a small, rented apartment, a far cry from the beautiful home I had provided. Do I feel good about it? Not exactly. The hurt is still there, but the scales feel balanced. I didn't start the fire, but I did stop pouring gasoline on it. They taught me a valuable lesson. Family is only family when you're invited to the cruise. Thanks for listening. If my story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more.